he already has handed over.
When the records raise questions, as these most certainly do, you have to come in and answer those questions. And when it's time for him to follow the law, come in and testify on those questions. He changed his mind and told us to pound sand.
Mr. Meadows' testimony will bear on another key question before this committee. Did Donald Trump, through action or inaction, corruptly seek to obstruct or impede Congress's official proceedings to count electoral votes? Mr. Meadows also has knowledge regarding President Trump's efforts to persuade state officials to alter their official election results. In Georgia, for instance, Mr. Meadows participated on a phone call between President Trump and Georgia Secretary of State Raffensperger. Meadows was on the phone when President Trump asked the Secretary of State to, quote, find 11,780 votes to change the result of the presidential election in Georgia.
Now to those revealing text messages. During yesterday's committee vote, Liz Cheney also read aloud some of the text messages Meadows received while the attack was underway on January 6th.
Members of Congress, the press, and others wrote to Mark Meadows as the attack was underway. One text Mr. Meadows received said, quote, we are under siege here at the Capitol. Another, quote, they have breached the Capitol. In a third, Mark, protesters are literally storming the Capitol, breaking windows on doors, rushing in. Is Trump going to say something? A fourth, there's an armed standoff at the House chamber door. And another from someone inside the Capitol. We are all helpless. Dozens of texts, including from Trump administration officials, urged immediate action by the president. Quote, POTUS has to come out firmly and tell the protesters to dissipate. Someone is going to get killed. In another, Mark, he needs to stop this now. A third, in all caps, tell them to go home. A fourth, and I quote, POTUS needs to calm this down. Indeed, according to the records, multiple Fox News hosts knew the president needed to act immediately. They texted Mr. Meadows, and he has turned over those texts. Quote, Mark, the president needs to tell people in the Capitol to go home. This is hurting all of us. He is destroying his legacy, Laura Ingraham wrote. Please get him on TV, destroying everything you have accomplished, Brian Kilmeade texted. Quote, can he make a statement? Ask people to leave the Capitol, Sean Hannity urged. As the violence continued, one of the president's sons texted Mr. Meadows, quote, he's got to condemn this ASAP. The Capitol Police tweet is not enough, Donald Trump Jr. texted. Meadows responded, quote, I'm pushing it hard, I agree. Still, President Trump did not immediately act. Donald Trump Jr. texted again and again, urging action by the president. Quote, we need an Oval Office address. He has to lead now. It has gone too far and gotten out of hand, end quote. But hours passed without necessary action by the president. These non-privileged texts are further evidence of President Trump's supreme dereliction of duty during those 187 minutes.
So, Joe, just to go back through, those were anonymous texts from members of Congress to Mark Meadows, not anonymous to him, but we didn't hear their names there. They were Fox News hosts, some of whom went on the air that night and started in real time to whitewash what happened, saying this was Antifa. We see their concerns expressed to Mark Meadows about Donald Trump's action or inaction that day. And then from his own son, Don Jr., pleading with the chief of staff to get his dad to do something about this. This goes to the point that Mark Meadows may not be cooperating now by giving his deposition, but he already cooperated. He gave 6,000 pages worth of documents, and there's going to be much more than what we just heard yesterday in those text messages, which say so much about what happened that day and about the people who sent them.
Well, like those hosts who said one thing while the riots were going on and were scared for their country, and said another that night and in the weeks that followed. Mark Meadows right now is just playing to an audience of one, Donald Trump. He's already turned over the evidence. He's already halfway there to being the John Dean of January the 6th, whether he wants Donald Trump to like it or not. But that's what Mark Meadows has always done. He's always tried to have it both ways. But, you know, Willie, what these texts show is really, it's quite reassuring to get confirmation that there are two realities. There's a reality that we all live in, that functioning adults live in, where facts, laws, realities are understood. And we comment on those facts and laws and realities and do our best to interpret it and sort through it. And then there's a phony alternative reality that in our political class, in our political world, has been created over the last 6 years for Donald J. Trump, and created for his followers, created for Trump's audience, whether that's an audience for politicians or whether that's a politician or whether that's an audience for TV shows. And they're all desperate to assuage Donald Trump, even though behind the scenes they're desperately telling him not to do this or not to do that, and it is so revealing. It's mainly, though, Willie, it's revealing because these people who are closest to Donald Trump, who have been his cheerleaders for 5 years, they're texting Mark Meadows for a reason, because they know Donald Trump has the power to stop the insurrectionists, the rioters, the people who are trying to beat police officers to death with American flags, the people that are spreading their excrement on the walls of the United States Capitol. They're trying to get Mark Meadows to stop them because Donald Trump has the power to stop them. And again, this is confirmation of what Kevin McCarthy said on January the 6th when he picked up the phone and he screamed to Donald Trump to stop the riots. And Trump said, "Those aren't my people." And Meadows swore at him and said, "Who do you think you're talking to?" So, you know, Willie, people don't call you up and ask you to stop thunderstorms because they want to go out and toss baseballs with their sons or throw the football with their kids. They don't ask you to stop snowstorms because they know you can't stop it. But maybe they do text you and say, "Can you get Joe to talk a little bit less?" I mean, because you can control
wait
that.
a minute. Yeah.
So,
And I become Mark Meadows in that moment.
Okay, there's got to be a better example of that. Can you tell Mika to tell Joe to please stop talking? There
Punch
you
him.
Yeah. But again, these texts are so revealing because it shows from the people that know him the most that those rioters, they were doing that for Donald Trump's benefit. They were following Donald Trump's orders to go up to the Capitol. And those Fox News hosts, those members of Congress, Kevin McCarthy, they all knew it, and it's now exposed to the world.
And they live in fear of Donald Trump. This is what they believe. We're seeing it out in the light of day, thanks to Liz Cheney and the committee yesterday. What these people who spent the last almost year now saying, it wasn't that big a deal. Maybe it was Antifa. Media's overblowing it. To see how they really feel about it, to see how they really felt about it when it was happening.
In the moment, yeah.
And another point, Joe, Mark Meadows, who will not speak to the committee, is happy to go on TV